Hello. Okay, we are going live about sugar cravings. I have had this conversation like 6 different times this last week, which always lets me know that it is important. And I mean sugar. Sugar is something that can feel like it has a lot of power over us. And one of the most common questions, issues, struggles sometimes that clients have or that people will ask me about. And when it comes to sugar cravings, there's kind of 2 pieces to it. So there's a physiological piece of sometimes if our blood sugar is totally out of whack or out of balance, we might find ourselves on what I call a blood sugar roller coaster, where we're kind of going like this and we're constantly craving, whether it may be caffeine, sugary treats, simple carbs, things that are going to like help us bring our blood sugar back up to get us to that place where we have a little bit more energy. And then blood sugar goes up, it comes back down too, sends us signals again that we need more of these things, and we can get on a total roller coaster. So that's one piece of it that I could go way more in depth about, and is really, really critical for not only energy, but also hormone health, also immune health. I mean, everything. Like blood sugar balance is one of the first domino. It's like the domino that tips a lot of other dominoes down in our health. But the thing that I've been talking about a lot with clients this last week is really around why we have these sugar cravings, and is more on the emotional side of cravings as well. So I get really excited when we identify cravings. Like more often than not, when we're craving, say we're like starting to have all these sugar cravings and we're noticing that we're craving like, maybe it's sometimes we're craving chocolate, but maybe we're craving the like sugar. Like one of my clients was just telling me, she's like, my sugar cravings are not just like the nice little chocolate cravings. I want Starbursts. I want Sour Patch Kids. I want Skittles, like like a sugar hit. And so when we have these cravings, a lot of times we want to push them down because we're like, ooh, this is not, I don't want to have this craving. I'm not supposed to have this. But cravings are information. They're our body telling us that there is a need. And it's just like if you're thirsty, you get a craving, to drink water. Any kind of craving, we can gather information. So I get super excited when there's cravings and when we're noticing these shifts and changes, because it's an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper and understand why. With everything, nothing is bad, it's why. Really, really, truly. So if you're having sugar cravings, and let me know in the comments if you are and what you experience, so we can kind of tailor this to you. I would love to know what you experience. But if you are experiencing sugar cravings, it's an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper and understand what the actual need is. So like I said, anytime there's a craving, it reflects to us that there's a need. There's something that is needing to be met. And we are trying to meet it with sugar, which often gives us kind of a hit of a feel good, gives us like a little dopamine hit, a dopamine release. Sugar is widely available. It's usually somewhat cheap, and it's easy to get, right? So it makes sense that if we have these needs, these cravings, a lot of times we're going to reach for something like sugar to satisfy that. So if you're having the experience, I'm going to use the example of one of my clients shared. She was about to go on a call with her entire family, like a Zoom catch-up kind of call thing. And she found herself almost mindlessly getting into her car and like changing her clothes, getting into her car, driving to the drugstore and buying a bunch of candy and coming back because she felt it as this intense need before this event. So on one hand, we can say, okay, let's investigate this physiological piece and understand how we can better balance your blood sugar. That's something I go really in depth into in my Live Well online program. So if you're interested in that, that's a resource that's really supportive. But on the other side too, we can say, well, what was going on? What's the actual need that you were trying to just feed there? Without judgment, without shame, without guilt, just why? Curiosity, right? This is how we start to pay attention to what's going on in the body and understand these things is not just random occurrences, but reasons. So the questions I want you to ask yourself if you're experiencing these intense sugar cravings is pay attention to what time of day they're happening. Do they always happen in the afternoon when you're really exhausted and you're needing a sugar pick-me-up? And that might be more of a physiological balancing your blood sugar. Do they happen at night? Do they happen before specific instances? Like, pay attention and see what you can gather from that. And once you have that information, then you can also ask yourself, what happened 30 minutes before I had this sugar craving? What was going on? Did I have a really intense conversation with a family member? Did I get feedback from a coworker? What were the thoughts going on in my head? What was the self-talk happening in my head? What happened half an hour before I had this intense sugar craving can oftentimes give us the clue. And then we can also ask the question, what is the actual need? What is the need here? And so you can go further into that by asking, okay, how am I feeling? What feelings are in my body right now? And you might come up with feeling uncomfortable. You might come up with, I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling bored. There's a whole host of these different things. Sometimes when I will have like intense chocolate cravings and I ask myself, what's the need? What's the feeling here? It's because I feel sorry for myself. I feel like, oh, I deserve this because I just like worked so hard there. So I'm feeling a little sorry for myself. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's going to be unique for you, and it might be unique at any given time in the day. Or you might notice a pattern that you frequently have the same kind of need. So again, you're asking yourself, what happened 30 minutes before I experienced this craving? You're also asking yourself, what is the actual need here that I'm trying to feed? And you can also ask, what are the emotions? How am I feeling in my body right now? What are some of the thoughts circulating in my brain right now? And once you understand what that actual need is, let's say it's discomfort. That can be a common when I'm uncomfortable and I'm seeking this candy or this sugar to make me feel more comfortable, to soothe myself. So we don't make that good or bad. We're just like, oh, cool. Okay, I get it now. And we totally understand why our body was driven to get that. Like, my client literally changed her clothes, got in the car, rushed to the store, came back in time for her call because she was driven. Her body was like, we need comfort. We're not comfortable right now, right? You also the answer might be, I'm really bored. I'm really bored. And so the problem comes when we continue to try to feed that need with sugar. We're not actually feeding the need. We're soothing and we're giving the body what it needs in that moment, which is, that's fine. But can we also try to really be able to feed the actual need? So in the case of being uncomfortable, what are some things that can actually feed that need of discomfort? In that very moment, it can be things as simple as I have a really comfortable blanket, and that's going to bring me a little bit of comfort right now. I need to put on this music because that makes me feel really soothed and calm and comforted. It might be I need to shake and move my body a little bit so I can release some of this discomfort that's getting built up inside of me. It might be I need to text my friend and tell her about how I'm feeling because I just want to interact with someone else who can help me feel more comfortable about this. So these are examples of things you might do in the moment to help you feel and your body feel more comfortable or even sometimes safe. And then there's the question of asking on a wider scale, what else can I do to address this discomfort? And that's where you might do some journaling. You might work a little bit more in depth in trying to understand how, on a broader level, you can begin to feed that need. And in the moment, sometimes it's like, yeah, but the only thing that's actually going to feed this is like these Skittles or Sour Patch Kids or something, and like getting a cozy blanket isn't going to cut it, right? But it's, think of it as, how are we actually starting to feed that need and get curious about what that need is, so that then these strong cravings that come in the form of sugar cravings often aren't as strong, aren't as powerful, because we are actually working on a daily basis to support that need. For example, if you ask what the need is and you come up with that you're bored, that can be a common one too. How can you feed that need in another way? Is it listening to a podcast? Is it trying out a new craft? Is it deciding to upskill yourself in some way and learn something new? I don't know. What is it for you? But you go back and you ask yourself those questions. How do I feel in my body? And what can I do to actually feed that need? So you will be surprised. A lot of times we think that we have to kind of like grit our teeth and push through and restrict and not like look at sugar, have it around, or we do these kind of things that may work for a little bit, and then we may find ourselves in these cycles of coming back to sugar over and over and over again, and it can feel really frustrating. But when we actually start to actually feed the need, it disappears. And we sometimes shock ourselves in the way that it disappears. I had a client who experienced this as well. And when we actually got down deeper to the need and started doing more work around that need in that moment, but also just kind of on a bigger scale of what's the actual need, she was shocked. She was shocked that she didn't have to grit her teeth and do these restrictive diets and all of these things, but that the craving dwindled and disappeared eventually. And it was because we fed the need. So I wanted to share that in hopes that that helps if you are at that place of experiencing those strong cravings and it feels a little out of control. There are tools that we can use to both address this physiologically with the blood sugar balance and nutrition and digestion and understanding all of these pieces, and then also emotionally understanding what is actually the need that's coming up here. And this allows us to do more deeper inquiry into ourselves and to be able to really understand, so it doesn't feel like a mystery anymore, something that's so out of our control, but something we're fully aware of, something we can see when it pops up and we can say, oh, this is happening again. No judgment, no shame, but it's telling me something about where I'm at right now and what I actually need. And what a beautiful thing to really, really give ourselves what we actually need at a deep, deep level. When we don't take time to investigate these cravings, or we feel ashamed by them, or we push them down, or we feel guilty, we don't allow that time to inquire about what they actually mean. And our bodies are so smart and so wise, and your body is so smart and so wise that when we actually listen to it, we get all the information that we need. And it might feel uncomfortable at first, or it might feel weird or foreign at first, but just asking these simple questions and getting curious is what's going to help you get there. So I hope that is helpful. I just wanted to share that so you had some of these tools, because I know it's something that a lot of us struggle with, especially in this last year. It seems like it's become even more of an issue. So it's more important for us to have these tools so we can feel really good about ourselves no matter where we're at in the process. So if you have any questions about this, send me a message. I love to talk about these pieces. If you're wanting more support in this, in specifically balancing your blood sugar and going a little bit deeper around your beliefs and your needs and all of these pieces, my Live Well online program goes through all of that. It's 12 self-paced modules, so you can do it at any time. There's a guide, so it helps you work through in a way that is going to be most supportive. But you have all of these tools, and these are really the foundations and building blocks that we need to support our body, to be able to not only address physiologically what's happening, but also get curious about emotionally what's going on in our body, because it's always both. So you can learn more. You can send me a message again if you have questions about the Live Well online program, but I'm still offering it for a very discounted rate, and you can learn more and enroll at the link in my bio. So just click there. It goes through all the details. You'll have everything you need to know about it. And again, if anything else comes up, just send me a message. I love this resource. It's been a labor of love for me, putting all of these things into a place where people have really easy access to it. So that's my goal, is to be, usually it's only available through one-on-one work with me, but I really wanted to be able to put it all together in a place where you can access it. You can have these tools, you can go through in your own time, you can let them sink in your own way, you can apply them in a way that works for you as well. And the goal is that you come out with a really solid understanding of what works for you and what doesn't, even down to things like balancing your blood sugar, figuring out what foods work for. Oh, I think I just got a phone call coming in and it paused it. And you can figure out everything that works for you. And especially with autoimmunity, you're able to really understand and move through the framework of clearing, calming, enhancing, modulate. I have, many different ways to move and process through the quest of really understanding how to care for yourself on a daily basis with autoimmune disease or not, right? These tools are for everyone, but especially if you have an autoimmune condition or you're experiencing symptoms of fatigue, you don't know what's going on in your body, and you really want to work to optimize. Okay, so hope that was helpful. Sugar, sugar, sugar. We can totally get control over it. It is well within your power, and there's ways to do it without the guilt, without the shame, without feeling like you have to grit your teeth and push through. And so I just wanted to empower you with some of those tools. So let me know in the comments if that is helpful and how I can further support you. Thank you.